Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be learning about a data structure called tuple. We'll learn about what is tuple, how do we create a tuple, the functions and the methods associated with tuple, and why do we use a tuple. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Tuple is a data structure which is so similar to a list. It is also an ordered collection of elements. But the only difference is that list is mutable, which means we can modify elements in it, but in case of tuple, it's immutable, which means we cannot change values in it. Now let's try to create a tuple. So in list we used square brackets, but in case of tuple we'll be using the round brackets, and let's enter some values in it. Now let's print the tuple, and let's also print the type of the data structure here. Yeah, we're getting the output of tuple, and also we see it belongs to the class tuple. Now let's try to access elements in it. Accessing elements in tuple is also similar to how we access elements in a list. We write the variable name which holds the tuple, and within square brackets we use the index. Let's print it. Yeah, we are accessing the first element in here, and indexing starts from 0, same as tuple. Now I'll show you an image which helps you to understand how negative indexing works. It is as same as list, where you can also use negative index to access elements in it. So we use 0 to access the first element in the list and 1 to access the second element. Those things are positive index. You can see at the bottom -1 is there at the last element. So you need not know the total size of the tuple to access the last element. You can just use -1 to access it. So the indexing here is from right to left. So -1 to access the last element, -5 to access the first element. Let's also try to access the last element here. Yeah, we are accessing the last element here. There is also a function called tuple which you can use to create a tuple. Let me show it to you. It is like this, where you will be using the tuple function enclosed within the variable. Yeah, the tuple remains the same. Now let's try to change the values in the tuple. I have said you earlier that we cannot change values in tuple, and that's the speciality of tuple which makes it stand out from the list. But let's try it out. I'll be changing the first element. Let me remove this also. And let's print the tuple. We get a type error that tuple does not support item assignment, which means we cannot change value in tuple. Tuple also supports having duplicate elements in it, and elements in a tuple can be of different data types. Now you might wonder, what is the advantage of using tuple where you only see a drawback, that is you cannot modify elements in it? Well, that drawback is an advantage here. In memory, when you create a list of size 5, the memory allocated to the list will be usually of size 10. This is because you can modify a list later. You can add values in it or remove values in it. So you will be needing that extra memory that has been allocated earlier. But in case of tuple, you won't be needing it because you cannot change values in it or add values once it gets created. So you save memory here. So in places where you have a memory constraint and you are sure that you won't be adding values later, you can use a tuple instead of a list. Now I'll prove it to you what I said you earlier. I'll be importing a library called sys which helps us print the memory that has been allocated to a particular variable. I'll be creating a list which contains the same values that are in the tuple. Now let's print the memory that has been allocated to it. The get size of function will be used to find the memory that has been used. Yeah, you can see that tuple has occupied 80 units of memory, but in case of list, it has occupied 180 units for the same data. I think this helps you to understand the importance of having tuple. There is also one more advantage where iteration is faster in tuple than list. Iteration means accessing, looping through elements or accessing elements one by one. You will be learning about it in the future videos. Now let's learn about the functions that are related to a tuple. First let me erase this and create a much big tuple. Now the first function I will be discussing about is count. Count, as the name signifies, it counts the number of occurrences of a particular variable. Now if we want to check the number of occurrences of element 5, we'll be using the count function and pass the variable into it. Here we can see that 5 has been occurred twice. Yeah, we get the output 2 here. There is also a function called index which will output the first index of occurrence of a particular value. I'll show an example to understand it. We see that 5 has occurred twice in the tuple. So you might wonder what will be the output by using the index function. We get 0 here because index usually check the value's first occurrence in the variable. So 5 is occurring at the first place at 0th index. So we get the output 0. There are also functions like min, max, where it gives the minimum value present in the tuple and the maximum value present in the tuple respectively. Let us try it out. And there is a function called sum which gives you the sum of elements present in the tuple. So the maximum value will be 100, the minimum value will be 1. Let's check the sum. Yeah, the maximum value is 100, the minimum value is 1, the sum is 128. Well, you can add two tuples together by using the addition operator. So let's create a tuple and let's add both of them. Yeah, we get the output where two tuples are being added together. Initially, I taught you about a function called tuple which we have used to create a tuple. But the real use of it, that function can be used to convert a list to a tuple. Let's create a list and let's try to convert it into a tuple by using the tuple function. Now let's print the tuple. Yeah, Let's also print the type of it. Yes, the list has been converted into a tuple. This marks the end of the video, and I hope you understood about how to use a tuple and why do we use a tuple. See you again in learning about a different data structure in the next video. Thank you.